Welcome to today's Explainer. We're exploring a seriously fascinating intersection today. We are bridging the gap between historical, almost mystical claims about the mind and concrete modern mind-body science. We're going to map out exactly how your internal world programs your physical reality. Okay, let's dive right into this. It's a massive question, isn't it? Can your subconscious mind actually physically heal your body? In an era where chronic stress is practically a modern epidemic, this is more relevant than ever. We're going to explore the very compelling idea that your thoughts aren't just abstract things floating around in your head, they might literally and physically shape your biology. Back in 1963, Joseph Murphy wrote in his famous book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that inner peace leads to outer harmony. And honestly, this is the core motif of our entire exploration today. Murphy was telling us over 60 years ago that internal transformation absolutely has to happen before any external change can occur. You just can't fight the outside world if your inside world is a total mess. Section 1. The Pioneer and the Promise. Before we get into the modern biology of it all, we really need to understand where this new thought philosophy came from and the pioneer who brought it to millions. The trajectory of these ideas is so interesting. In 1898, Joseph Murphy was born in Ireland. He actually started out studying in a Jesuit seminary, but eventually began questioning that orthodoxy. Meanwhile, over in American mental science, a guy named Herbert Parkin published Autosuggestion in 1905, which laid down a systematic way to use self-directed suggestion. Well, these two worlds collided when Murphy experienced a profound physical healing through prayer. It completely shifted his path, prompting him to leave the Jesuits and emigrate to the U.S. in 1922. After decades of study, he published his landmark book in 1963, completely cementing these theories in the public consciousness. Murphy's fundamental promise was brilliantly simple. Your subconscious mind acts on whatever beliefs are consistently impressed upon it. It doesn't argue with you, it doesn't stop to judge whether your thoughts are actually good or bad for you. It's simply a non-judgmental receiver that diligently goes to work manifesting the beliefs you feed it every single day. And that leads to a pretty profound realization. Fear is a mental creation, not a reality. Murphy explained that because fear starts in the mind, and it really only grows through repetition, we actually hold the power to interrupt it. By purposefully filling our heads with positive, non-fearing ideas, we can essentially instruct the subconscious to let go of fear and realign our emotions. Section 2. The Biological Proof. Let's shift gears from early 20th century philosophy to rigorous 21st century biology and see exactly how modern science backs up these decades-old claims. So let's demystify a massive 22-letter word right now: psychoneuroimmunology. I know, it sounds super intimidating, but it really just represents the scientific study of how your brain, your nervous system, your hormones, and your immune system all interact and talk to each other. This whole field provides the concrete, scientific proof that your emotional states directly influence your immune activity and your overall bodily health. The mind and body, they are absolutely not separate systems. We're talking about your heart rate, breathing patterns, hormone release, digestion, immune activity, and inflammation. The crucial point here is that your subconscious isn't just some dusty psychological hard drive for old memories. It is the actual biological control center regulating all of these vital, automatic processes inside of you right now. And honestly, here's the wild part. Your subconscious brain does not know the difference between a real tiger chasing you down the street and a stressful email from your boss. It just controls the biology in response to the perceived threat. This creates some very real physical stakes for our mental habits. On one side, we have the sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight state. When your brain perceives a psychological threat, like a looming deadline, your body reacts exactly as if it were in physical danger. Cortisol surges and your immunity takes a hit. On the flip side is the parasympathetic state. This is where repair, restore, calm, and safety happen. Science proves that chronic psychological stress traps you in that fight or flight mode, actively preventing your body from doing its normal biological repair work. If you want undeniable proof of this mind-body bridge, just look at the placebo effect. People often dismiss it as just a statistical anomaly, but it's actually a fascinating micro-story of the mind physically altering the body. When a patient simply believes a treatment is going to help, that pure expectation actually triggers the release of dopamine and endogenous opioids right in the brain. It shows us that belief literally activates biological mechanisms. It's wild. But the placebo effect definitely has a dark mirror. Negative identity beliefs. We're talking about thoughts like, my body is weak, or I get sick easily. You see, the subconscious doesn't just store events, it stores your interpretations of those events. If you feed your mind unresolved emotional memories and negative expectations like these, your nervous system responds by keeping your body in a constant state of alert and chronic inflammation. Your biology literally conforms to your identity. Section 3. The Blueprint for Change. Now that we understand the biological problem of chronic stress and negative programming, how do we actually apply Joseph Murphy's teachings to fix it? Habitual thinking determines success or failure. Since we've established that your body is constantly listening to your subconscious, it becomes completely clear that we have to break those old mental habits. We need to purposefully and strategically reprogram our minds to send signals of safety and repair straight to our nervous system. So, how exactly do we do that? Well, think of this first method as a pretty amazing life hack, the sleep suggestion method. It is incredibly straightforward. You get into a nice, drowsy, relaxed state right before you fall asleep. Then you state your desired outcome in the present tense, something simple like "I am calm," and you repeat it 3 to 5 times with genuine feeling. Why right before sleep? Because being in that drowsy state successfully bypasses all the critical filters of your conscious mind, letting you plant the suggestion directly into the subconscious. Next up is what Murphy called the scientific prayer method. The structure of it works like this. First, you acknowledge the problem, but only briefly. Don't dwell on it. Second, you immediately shift your entire focus over to the solution. Third, you generate the feeling of gratitude, acting as if the problem is already solved. And fourth, you completely release your attachment to how it will be solved. This is just a brilliant structural way to force your mind out of a state of lack and desperation and shift it right into abundance and trust. And that leads perfectly into this absolutely crucial point. Your mind responds best to calm confidence, not desperate struggle. If you try to force a change through sheer willpower and anxiety, you're actually weakening your subconscious influence. That anxiety just triggers your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight mode we talked about. But relaxed, calm confidence, that signals safety, which allows the healing parasympathetic state to take over and do its job. A really powerful way to build that calm confidence is through visualization practice. You create vivid mental images of your goal as if it's already been achieved. Engage your sight, your sound, and your touch in the visualization. And most importantly, feel the emotions of success. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day. Why? Because in neuroscience, mental imagery acts as a direct command to the subconscious. It activates the exact same neural circuits as real physical experiences do. Now, keeping everything grounded in reality, we have to acknowledge a very important caveat here. The subconscious is not some magical cure for every illness. These techniques absolutely do not replace proper medical care. However, what the science unequivocally shows us is that by removing chronic stress patterns, you give your body the vital biological signal that it is finally safe. It shapes the optimal biological environment where deep physical repair and restoration can actually begin. We've looked at the history, we've dug into the hard science, and we've covered the practical methods. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. What will you tell your subconscious as you fall asleep tonight? The control panel is right there, and it's yours to use. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to put this powerful knowledge to the test tonight.